Welcome back to Vickie's Country Home. I had a lot of tomatoes last year that I did not get processed. So I washed them and froze them in gallon bags in my freezer and my other freezer and my neighbor's freezer. I need the room and I need to do something with all these tomatoes because I need to make space. So today is the day. I am going to make and can Rotel style tomatoes because we love those, but the ones that you buy have natural ingredients, and that could be a number of things, including MSG and other things that we don't want. So today I'm going to make my own Rotel style tomatoes, and I've done this once before and they were wonderful. So I have a lot of these tomatoes. 10 bags. So, and I probably have some more still stashed in the freezers, but I'm going to start with these. And first thing I'm going to do, since they're frozen, I'm going to put them in the boiling water and let it sit for just a minute or so that I can peel them easily. So I'm going to get started on that. I just put them in here for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, then I put them in ice water just to slip the skin off. And I'll come back when I've got that done. And I'm not going to show every step of this process. I have videos out there of canning tomatoes and even from doing it frozen, so I'll link to those, but I don't want to make this really long because I'm showing you every step. So if you haven't seen them, go check out the other videos. Well, I didn't use all 10 bags of the tomatoes. This is 7 bags and it's going to make 2.5 times the recipe. The recipe calls for 12 cups. I've got 30 cups. And that's gonna be plenty of Rotel. Even though we use Rotel a lot, we love it. This Rotel style canned tomatoes will go quite a ways for us. So I've got these all peeled. I chop them roughly into quarters or sometimes a little bit more depending on their size. And they're still just slightly slushy, but that's okay. So to this I'm going to add, if you are making a single recipe, it's 12 cups of tomatoes. You're going to add 1 tablespoon of canning salt. I'm going to go a little bit shy of that, so this is 2.5 times. I think I'm going to add just short of 2. I don't need high salt, but I do like it to have the flavor. And then I have coriander seed, which I buy the whole seed. I like to buy these Mexican section spices. These are the whole seeds, and I just ground it up. I'm going to start with 1.5 teaspoons. So it would be a 1/2 teaspoon for a single recipe. Mine is 2.5, so I'm putting 1.5 teaspoons. And then I'm going to put this on the stove to start heating, and while it's heating, I'm going to start chopping up my roasted chili peppers, and let me show you what I've done. I have some leftover Hatch green chilies from last year that I roasted and I froze whole. So I'm going to take about 5 of those and cut them up. Just chop them up. And then I have some Anaheim chilies, that I just put on a parchment paper lined baking sheet. I didn't do anything to them, and I put them in the oven about 450 degrees, I think, and just waited until they got nice and blistery and brown. And I put one giant jalapeno in there because that's the way Brian likes it. The jalapeno is definitely extra. Now you can use other peppers too, but if you look at a can of Rotel tomatoes, it says chili peppers. So I'm gonna use some Hatch and some Anaheim, and we'll kind of get a blend in there. So I'm gonna very carefully with gloves peel these, chop them, and add them to the tomatoes. Now I am going to take out some of the seeds and membranes, but I'm not really worried too much. If there's some in there, we're okay with that, but do what your family likes. The seeds and membranes do add a little heat, so just use your judgment. But again, if there's a few seeds or membranes, I'm not going to worry about it. Now these are the Anaheims, and I'm going to roughly chop. Not too worried about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the pot. Now these are the Hatch chilies that I roasted last year and froze, so there's a little bit of ice on them. Not worried about it. And I was going out of town last year when I had these, so I just roasted them, had them frozen, so that I would be able to use them when I needed them. I will tell you, they peel better fresh. but hatch have a unique flavor. So I really like having them. Now, the recipe calls for 1 cup of chili peppers per recipe for 12 cups of tomatoes. I'm using some mild peppers, but I'm also using some hot in the hatch. So I'm gonna start out a little bit less than that, probably about a cup less than that. But I want to be able to make sure that this is a nice flavor and nice heat. But again, you can adjust this. If you just use mild Anaheim peppers, it's going to be very different from what I'm doing. So adjust it to your taste, but if you want to go above that amount, then you need to be careful because of the canning. You need to watch the acid level because these are low acid, the tomatoes are high acid, and you have to watch the percentages. But to this, I'm also, and this is for Brian, I'm going to add 1 jalapeno that I also roasted. And this is huge jalapeno. Note to self, you send your husband to pick up the peppers from the store. You're gonna get a lot more than you asked for. I think I had 3 or 4 of these and a whole bunch more than I have cooked up. But I am removing the membranes and seeds on this one. And I'm gonna chop this a little bit finer than those chili peppers. All right, I brought this to a boil and then I simmered it. It says 10 minutes. I simmered it while we ate supper because it's been a long day. So if you see now, it's really cooked, and I tasted it and adjusted the seasonings to my taste. I added a little more coriander powder, but really that was about it. But you do it to your taste. That's what's perfect about this. So now what I'm gonna do is, this is hot, so I need hot jars. And I'm getting ready to put this into the hot jars to can. And most people are gonna keep these in their dishwasher, but when you're off grid, you have to do things a little bit different. So I just put it in a pan with hot water. But for each jar, you're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. If you don't want to use citric acid, you can use 1 tablespoon of bottled lemon juice, but I didn't want to change the flavor, so I'm not doing that. And I will tell you, this is so good. Previously, when I made this, the recipe I used called for some sugar, and it just is not the right taste for this. When you're trying to get Rotel tomatoes, there is no sweet taste to it. So we're gonna fill this to a 1/2 inch headspace. And this is pretty liquid, so I don't think we need to debubble, but I will anyway. And then I have vinegar, and you can use water, but I like using vinegar. And clean the rim. Center your lid, add the ring, and that's not on there straight. And my cats are having a party. Anytime I'm filming, they seem to think that's the time to just go wild. I have a theory, but okay, so there it is. I'm gonna put this one in the canner, and then I'm gonna keep filling the jars. Now, when I tasted this, it's really a nice combination because you get the chili pepper flavor, but that hatch chili and that little bit of jalapeno just gives it a little bit of heat, but not too much. Now you can water bath can this. And the reason I chose not to do that is because I'm going to have so many jars of this. And if you water bath this, a pint will be 40 minutes and 50 minutes for quarts. So I decided to use my 30 quart All-American, and I'm going to pressure can that. So there we go. So I'm going to finish filling my jars, and then I'll come back and tell you what I have. So here it is. I have 12 pint jars and 3 half pint jars filled, and it was almost perfect. So I'm going to bring this pressure canner up to, for my altitude, 15 pounds of pressure, but check your altitude. So I am going to pressure can these pints for 15 minutes, and if you do quarts, they are for 20 minutes. So I'm going to bring this up to pressure, let it vent for 10 minutes, and then bring it up to 15 pounds of pressure and process for 15 minutes. We'll see when it's done. All of these jars sealed beautifully. They didn't vent and evacuate at all. So I'm happy to put these on my shelf. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up and be sure and hit that notification bell. God bless, and we'll talk again soon.